M2 Keepstar. We're looking at its final moments. This was the scene of a tremendous amount of destruction over the last 3 months, last quarter. And it was an insignificant station back then. It's apparently still an insignificant station now. Its significance came from what happened here. One could say a capitalization on an error. The Imperium was able to thwart PAPI and slow down their momentum for a month. But PAPI recovered and has since attacked the rest of the region. So what was a great victory, I wouldn't say it was a great victory, it was a great win. Now is unraveled. No surprises. We knew that would happen if Imperium was able to keep the iHub intact. This would have been a more permanent situation, a more permanent camp. There would have been a lot more longevity to this strategic position after there was up to 100, up to 300 Titans or super carriers here trapped underneath this. But Imperium wasn't able to keep the iHub to its 35 days. And because of that, it flipped over to PAPI, and PAPI was able to keep it for 35 days. And the result is a very comfortable demolition. I gotta check why my cloak is off. All right, I'm presuming a lot of knowledge, but what we're looking at is the M2-XFE Keepstar. This is its final timer, so it will explode. Let's see who's in logo. $2,500. Tie-dye is struggling a bit. Should be about 50%. It's getting... No, it's only at 40%. Doesn't feel like 30%, 40%. All right, for those just joining us, we are looking at the M2-XFE Keepstar. This is its final timer. The forces of PAPI are surrounding it. You can see they've sent drones or fighters. These are these little triplicate-looking things from the Fortizar. They're off in the distance right above. I think you have a Titan fleet. Well, those are faxes mostly, and let's see. Those lasers are definitely Titan from Titans, though. Let's go have a look. Oh, everything's moving so slow. Jeez. Yeah, there's an avatar from DICE. That's Vlad. You know, Vlad, old court mate. Let's see what happens if we turn off some graphics here. Really surprised how bad the performance is. I don't know if it's for everybody, but my performance is very slow. This feels pretty slow. Jeez. Looks like everybody's getting a hit in now. The Keepstar has got about, let's see here. There it is. Jeez, missed it. Well, even at 40% tie-dye, this is like not a pleasurable piloting experience. I doubt that's 40% tie-dye. We'll go ahead and target it if we can. Well, I don't know what it's prioritizing, but instructions given to the are a little bit slow. There are a lot of fighters out here, though, and I think fighters wreak havoc on performance of the servers in general. It's too many things to communicate with. But as you were seeing, this is basically the final timer for M2 Keepstar. This thing will be destroyed here in a few minutes. I don't think it has much left on the... Yeah, it's just about done. I think there's a couple things to look at today, and the reason we're bringing you this is I just wanted to document that the M2 Keepstar, where so much died before, in the end, all that was led to this moment here. The Keepstar dies 2 months later, but fighting over it extracted a huge bill from each side, much more so on the PAPI side, since they essentially were massacred on the second timer for this thing. But there's another reason, and that is this is the first day we see fleet formations, and so there was a lot less bumping of Titans and Supers than usual because they're able to spread out as they warp in, so they don't all warp into the same spot and bounce off each other. The last Keepstar that we saw was a few days ago, ZXB, and that one didn't have the new feature, fleet formation, so you did see them all clustered together. Well, the other reason that we wanted to bring this to you is just to show you what we think or what I think the demolition of Delve is going to look like. And that is a lot like this. You're going to see 4 Desires on grid, at least one that then PAPI can sit on. They will capture the iHubs, which they've done for a number of these systems. They're going to actually turn on a Sino jammer, block everybody from jumping in that they don't want to jump in, and they kind of have the place to themselves. And so at that point, they can take their time and just destroy the structures inside of that area. So this is a model for the warfare that you'll see. And I think in large part, you won't see a lot contested because this is very, very difficult to contest. You can't possibly destroy the fleets that are applying damage to the Keepstar. And if you can't do that, you can't save the Keepstar. The Keepstar has no way of healing itself. It is literally up to you to destroy the thing that is destroying the Keepstar. And not being able to bring in a super capital force that matches the opponent, the group that's attacking the Keepstar, you don't have a chance of doing that. So a subcap fleet won't do it. So I think that's why you won't see these contested. Essentially will be a lot of what we're seeing today. iHub up, capital fleet in for PAPI, PAPI shooting the Keepstar, Keepstar dying. Okay, I'll turn to your guys' questions here. What's happening? This is the M2-XFE Keepstar. This is the location where the biggest battle in EVE ever happened. They were fighting over this Keepstar. That was a month ago. Sorry, that was 2 months ago. That was January 2nd. This is also the site of the largest gate camp that ever existed, and for the longest time. Clearly, there's just a lot at stake. So that lasted a month to 2 months. It depends on when you mark the end of that gate camp, or that camp. So basically, this is a very, very famous system now for EVE's history. This was a famous structure in EVE's history. This is what they were fighting over. This is also the home of where the camp was. So as Goonswarm and the Imperium were sitting on top of logged out ships from PAPI, they were using this Keepstar. Local's about 2,500. I'll check it. Yeah, about 2,400. I think this Keepstar is very close to if that helps. Sorry, let me zoom out of this tactical view. Yeah, this will explode in the next few minutes. This is the end of this Keepstar, which kind of ends the chapter for M2. Underneath this Keepstar, right around where my HUD is down here, this is where the armor timer fight happened, and that you saw Imperium Titans that were sitting above the Keepstar, raining fire down on the Keepstars. Sorry, the Titans up here above the Keepstar were shooting down to the PAPI Keepstar Titans that were at the bottom. God, I keep saying Keepstar. And that's where that fight was. That was a slugfest, right? That happened on the 29th of December, and they just traded back and forth very evenly, with a little bit of momentum gained and lost by each team until at the end it was basically 127 to 129. I think those were the numbers that were final destroyed. So it was a ton of... Sorry, that was the total was... Oh, there it goes. Here. You can see it lighting up now. The lasers have all stopped. This thing is destroyed. It's just a matter of the animation coming through. Destruction sequence beginning. Boy, that is bittersweet. It's got to be really melancholy for Goonswarm and the Imperium. They had a great time sitting in that Keepstar, essentially keeping a big chunk of PAPI forces, keeping them sidelined for weeks and weeks. So that was a site of a lot of celebration, a lot of hanging around with friends, and being a part of something that really turned the tide of the war. That looks like it's gone now. We're seeing fighters being recalled. Keepstar is now destroyed. The wreckage is being pillaged. We see one guy out here. Who's that? Sir Van Fannel's frozen corpse. A couple others. Oh, that's a frigate wreck. Fighters being recalled to their motherships. Start to see the exit of PAPI from the grid. That is two different fleets. You can see the Titan fleet sitting right on top of this Keepstar, and back there are super capitals. Sorry, Munins, capitals. A lot of firepower in here. You'll start to see them leave, as you can see off in the distance. The light bursts of the jump portals. Take a closer look. This sub-capital fleet being bridged out. The sub-capitals on top, actually capitals on the bottom here, you can see there. My audio. This objective is complete. Another Keepstar goes down in M2 attack. The next significant Keepstar to be attacked will be an F2O. That is the last Keepstar that would allow someone to escape, basically, from 1DQ. You would take 1DQ to F-TAC-O to W V6 or W6V to GOP, and then out to cannon space into low sec. That would, when Keepstars are chained like that, they're safe to travel through. But tomorrow, the first of those Keepstars will have a Sino jammer go up and not allow people to use it to jump in. I believe 1DQ is just out of range of NPC Delve, but I don't think that is a strategic relationship right now. The imposing force is PAPI, and they're sitting one system out from 1DQ. And I don't think 1DQ can jump. What we really think about here is Titans, because those are the alpha assets, right? That's what makes the difference between someone that gets told what to do and somebody that tells other people what to do. So the power of a group resides in, right now, the alpha gameplay of how many Titans can you bring to bear in an organized way. Yes, you can jump a jump freighter probably from 1DQ to NPC Delve and park in a station and move your stuff and be fine. That's true. But a Titan can't really jump into NPC Delve. That would be extremely dangerous. A Titan safe passage depends on Keepstars. That's why they're important, and that's one of the main reasons they're important. So you saw a destruction. Let's actually look at the map while we're talking about this. We'll still watch them jump out, but yeah, so before you could jump from, let's see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. You could jump from 1DQ. No, that's not it. Here's DW, that's pretty close. There's DW, that's what usually a military there's T5Z, that's the staging of PAPI forces, so connected to that is 1DQ here. You could have in the past jumped out to, I believe you could have made it to ZXB, and that's the beginning of Fountain, so that lets you into Fountain. You could also have jumped to 1 SMAB, I believe. So from here, I think this is all in the wrong area. 1 SMAB, so you could have escaped that way, probably up here. There it is. But that Keepstar was destroyed a few days ago. So this Keepstar was destroyed, this Keepstar was destroyed, and those were your 2 ways out north. So now if you want to escape, I'm not saying you should, and I'm not saying they will, because they've clearly said they're not going anywhere. And talking about the Imperium, they're going to stay and fight with their Titans in 1DQ and defend that one system as long as they can. And hopefully break the invaders' will to fight, maybe even break their war machines by resisting so completely in 1DQ. That might be the strategy now, but if you were somebody that wanted to leave, you only have a few minutes left because that that route is now closed to you. This route is now closed to you because both of those Keepstars are down, and now you would have to jump to under somewhere. That's null. So now the west, basically, here it is, F2O. That Keepstar is going down. It's going to be locked up and going down in the next week, but it will be inaccessible rather quickly. So if you were in 1DQ and you needed to get out, you'd have to use this Keepstar here. And then that Keepstar will lead you to Aquarius, and then Aquarius up to here. So you basically have to go east and up instead of going directly up. And not saying anybody's doing that, but that is why this is an important moment, is that 1DQ after a couple days from now will be an island. And I don't think it will be safe to travel with Titans at all. Yeah, he jumped Aquarius, jumped to GOP, and then GOP it out. So I don't know, this to me is why it's a momentous... well, yesterday we had a show called Delve Has Fallen, and the reason it's called that is because one of our somebody who believes very strongly in the way of life of the Imperium, and somebody who not only agrees with what a lot of the stuff that they do, but was really saying there really wasn't an invasion financially because there wasn't a lot of damage being put down on paper, real damage, not just, you know, fleets here and there. But even he said yesterday that Delve Has Fallen, and anybody in Goonsworm can see that it's really all about 1DQ now. So the second part of that is it's really all about 1DQ. That's where the resistance is. And so if you wanted to watch that episode, it's about 50 minutes into the video. Talking in Stations on YouTube. So youtube.com/talkinginstations. It's called Delve Has Fallen. Go to about 53 minutes and start watching there. And you'll see the discussion about where Delve is now. And so again, it wasn't me that said that, it was Caleb that said that. But when he said it, it had a lot of resonance to it because he's somebody that usually is very consistent with his beliefs, whether it cuts against him, his guys, or his team, or his side, or whoever he's sympathetic to, or not. He's usually very consistent about his observations, his analysis. And Talking in Stations, whether you want to hear it or not, tries to be analytical about a lot of the stuff. Yes, we have biases. Each and every one of us are advanced players. We have biases. We have histories. We have people we cheer for, people we don't. I tend to like underdogs and alternative gameplay styles. So does Caleb, but and Elise, you know, fully endorses nullsec and what happens there. And you know, we have voices from all over the game, so we all have our own bias. But on balance, if enough of us get a chance to talk, you can hear from both sides. One of the issues is when a group is not faring well, they don't like to hear that they're not doing well, and that's one of the issues that we've had. So I know it's a touchy topic. I try to deal with it all the time. We're not unbiased, but we are balanced, and we try to be. And so our observations were always that this war was going to go this way. If you listen to the last, I don't know, 6-7 months, all the way to July, when we were talking about this war, we were talking about the way the weight swings. It's not about individual battles. It's not about who did great on this kill board or who did great on that kill board. A lot of that stuff doesn't matter. You need to look at the psychological implications of everything that happens. How does it affect the player base? How does it affect the actual players? Because the players have to show up. They have to log in. They have to sit through tie-dye. They have to resist all the reasons for them not to show up. And who's motivated to come and who's not motivated to come and show up and fight for their team. And this war, for a long time, there was a lot of things that were happening were rather inevitable. But what we did not know is who's going to last, who's going to basically give up, and when do they give up. And I know that my colleagues like to shower a lot of praise on all the players for showing up and doing this day in and day out, and there's a certain amount of praise that people deserve. But I was saying, and I continue to say, that only now are we starting to see real pain, real fatigue, real test of conviction on this entire campaign. We've seen some great stuff, some great battles, some really surprising lapses in strategy, and some real amazing new novelty uses of ships. We've seen a lot of great things, but only now are we seeing the real tired aspect, the real demoralizing aspect. If you're on the Imperium side, you're being hollowed out. Actually, not being hollowed out, you're being carved down to one little knot. And if you're on the PAPI side of things, you're feeling fatigue. It's tiring. I think at this point we can say that Delve has fallen because it's all down to 1DQ. 1DQ is being island now, so it won't have an escape route. It's they're digging moats around the castle, and they're filling it up with water and crocodiles, and there won't be a way to get out from that. You literally are gonna fight in that castle or asset safety out, which puts you in another very dangerous place. So it's no picnic now. Now you have to make real choices. And that's what's interesting. So what choices do people make? Now we see how powerful the Imperium message is of we're all going to fight together and win together, or we're all going to fight together and die together, but we're all going to do it together. We'll see how powerful that message is, how much it resonates, because when the safety goes away, that's when people make decisions that are interesting. And I think there's only one more day where you might feel safe getting a super out, if that's your investment. Not everybody has a super, but if that's your investment and you want to keep it, right now is when you're thinking about, well, what do I do? All right, I love talking to you guys. I like reading your messages here, and I like that you guys communicate with each other and answer each other's questions and put your opinions in too. You guys are some very experienced players. There's a lot of new guys that are coming to Talking In Stations. I have noticed a lot of new people coming to Talking In Stations asking questions that advanced players can answer for them. So it's really nice to see you guys share information. Talking In Stations' entire mission is to talk to the people that we needed to hear from when we were coming up. It's kind of like what teachers do, right? They teach to the person they were at that same grade level. And we try to do the same thing with Talking In Stations. We talk to those guys that are hungry for information, who love this game, who want to get better at it, understand context, and really look at that fourth dimension that you need to know in order to be fully successful in EVE Online. The game is one thing. There's a whole meta layer to the game, and then there's contextual history that puts everything into perspective. Yep. Okay, so let's answer some questions here and tell you, try to give you some information, a little more value for your time, and then we'll wrap up, as these guys are basically just about gone. There's still some fleets coming in to portal out, and we'll keep watching them until they do. One of the things is supers can be rebuilt. Yes, supers can be rebuilt, but it's going to cost you 3 times, 4 times as much as it did before. Scarcity is kicked in. It kicked in a while ago. It's been kicking in for the last year, basically. But now a Titan costs you, I believe it's 120 to mine it and to put it together. And you need sovereignty to put it together. So you need permission from some place to put it together. If you buy it, you'll buy it off somebody who's done that for you. But you will probably start paying higher and higher prices for that. Also, we don't know if capital ships or super capital ships are finished being nerfed. They've been nerfed now for a few years, so not exactly sure. That blue light around that avatar is a jump portal for subcap, so people are using that Titan to skip gates and jump something else. So I don't know. I don't know if you can say we will rebuild. You can only rebuild if you have sovereignty in that sense, or if you buy ships off people who have sovereignty. And if the Imperium decides they can't survive in 1DQ at some point, or they actually get annihilated in 1DQ, this is a pessimistic scenario for Imperium, then what does the Imperium look like when it reconstitutes? What does the leadership provide for a narrative of, we're going to come back, and are people going to be up for it? I think that's a very interesting question. So when this war sets out lofty goals like pro-gods, flippant, we're going to drive Imperium or Goonswarm out of the game or whatever, it's correct to think that you can't drive anybody out of this game. They can only quit because they don't want to play it anymore. So what conditions lend to people deciding that they're done? Well, sometimes when you win, that's when you quit. That's when a lot of Russians left the game after BTAC-R. They're like, check that box, we're out. Sometimes when people get into their first Nix and they play with it for a little while, they're like, I'm done, I reached my goal. And so there's all kinds of conditions, winning conditions and losing conditions, that will basically say, I've done what I needed to do in this game. So what leadership needs to provide is your next thing. And that's what, if everything goes wrong for the Imperium, that's what their leadership will have to provide. Here is our next thing. Here is our next chapter. We have a next chapter. And that takes a lot of effort. So it's a lot of lifting. And as more people leave, because they don't hear your message or it doesn't resonate with them, it becomes very hard to keep going when you feel like you have half of what you had before. So it's all about perseverance, and it's going to be an interesting time for them. Now, let's say that Imperium holds out for 4, 5, 6 months. You may see PAPI tire out. They have a lot to do. They have a lot to kill still. So they're going to have some kill mails, and they're going to have purpose because they're doing something and they're succeeding at it. And that's purpose, and that's results, and that's something that reinforces itself. But at a certain point, they may say, I've been doing this for too long. This isn't fun anymore. And that's when PAPI's leadership, individual alliances, will have to tell their members, this is important. Okay, I've lost my signal there. So we'll wrap it up in darkness here, and we'll see you again in a few hours as we do Talking in Stations Newsday Friday. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much.